program. Okay, basically the Ultimate Genes Challenge and basically the ultimate solution to fat loss. Today's little short module that I'm bringing you is basically based around sleep, fat loss, and cortisol. Okay, and I mean, people will often question this, and it's something that's often overlooked within weight loss programs in particular because people don't see the relevance of sleep and cortisol, and the relevance of sleep and fat loss. They don't see the bridge between the two. Okay, and it's all to do basically with the hormone cortisol, which obviously we've discussed before is responsible for storing belly fat. Okay, and it's also responsible for it's a stress hormone, which is also catabolic, so it'll break down muscle tissue. Okay, so sleep is affected by hormones and vice versa. So if your cortisol, which is called your natural circadian rhythm of cortisol, if that is out of sync, okay, and you've got a bit of a flat line going on, then you're going to be feeling pretty rough when you wake up in the morning. You're also going to be feeling pretty tired but wired in the evening. Okay, so you're going to be pretty sluggish the whole day, but then when you come to go to sleep, you can't really sleep. Basically, this is affected by light, okay, and also the sort of times of night that we get to bed. Okay, so in the morning, we should have high levels of cortisol. So as the sun rises, our cortisol levels should rise also. Cortisol is actually triggered by light, okay? And since the introduction of the electric, or more in particular electricity in the light bulb, this circadian rhythm has been affected so much more because of the artificial light at night time when the sun's gone down and our cortisol levels should decrease. This unnatural light is actually stimulating cortisol to be high. So in the evenings, you get that tired and wired effect, okay? So basically, you end up with sort of a flatline cortisol level, okay? So when you wake up in the morning, you're feeling pretty shitty. When you go to bed, you're tired and wired, like I said, okay? So what we want to try and do is get your sleep back in order, okay? Because as we've just mentioned previously, cortisol is responsible for fat storage, in particular around the abdominal area, okay? And if our cortisol levels are all over the place and our other hormones are out of sync, then you're going to really struggle to drop fat, okay? Dax Moy, the UK's leading personal trainer, I was speaking to him, and he said that he actually changed only sleep with a certain amount of clients for the first 7 days. He didn't even change nutrition. And these guys actually dropped like 7 to 8 pounds in the first week just by getting the sleep right. Okay, so it's massively important. Okay, so why? Basically, like I said before, sleep is going to be affected by cortisol levels. So if you're stressed, things like that, you're going to be tired and wired in the evening. If your sleep's affected, your cortisol levels are going to be out of sync, you're going to be storing belly fat. Okay, really, really important. Sleep is important for recovery. This is when we get most of our results, okay? So the time when you're actually asleep, your cortisol decreases, but when cortisol decreases, growth hormone increases, okay? Growth hormone's responsible for repair and also the burn of body fat, which our metabolic training that we do will increase your metabolic rate for 48 hours, okay? So the time when you're sleeping and recovering, that's when your body fat's being burned, okay? And your body's a fat burning machine, okay? And it does affect it massively, okay? Fat, like I said there, how does it affect us that much? How does sleep affect fat loss? Because it's all to do with the manipulation and the natural circadian rhythm of cortisol. If you get that right, you're going to be way more energetic in the morning because you'll be jumping out of bed with loads of energy because your cortisol will be shooting up nice and high. In the evening, your cortisol will be coming down nice and low and you'll be able to sleep better, you'll be able to recover better, your results will be 3, 4, 5, 10-fold better, okay? And overall, you're going to just feel so much better. Like, have you ever been out on a night out, but not drunk, but still felt hungover the next day? Okay, basically this is all to do with the cortisol levels because lack of sleep and like being awake past light basically affects the cortisol levels, and when that happens, you get like that the plateau, like I said before. So it's not going to get that high line in the morning, and you're not going to come out of bed all fresh and rosy. So that's why you get that sort of hungover feeling, even though you haven't had a drink. Okay. So if you look here, this is the plasma cortisol concentration on the left hand side. Okay. And along the bottom is the times, obviously. And then you've got awake and asleep. Okay, so basically the red line is the average circadian pattern, okay? So that's the average for the population. So it's nice and high early in the morning, like 7 o'clock. And you can see down towards the afternoon, around 4 o'clock, it's coming really low. Through till around 10 o'clock, it hits the bottom point. Yeah, that's when we should be hitting bed. That's when we should be asleep, around 10 o'clock at night. Okay, you can see that in the middle there. And then we should have that increase through from midnight through till 7, 8 o'clock. And it should come up nice and high again. And that'll just end up being a wave, a continuous wave over sort of, if you were to map it out over a week, you just have a nice steady wave. Okay, you can actually see the blue line is the actual pattern of episodic bursts. Okay, so cortisol will be stimulated in peaks and troughs throughout the day. Okay, any particular stressful situation, and it'll be peaked, followed by a trough. Okay, basically, if you think back to our olden days, so back to the caveman days when we were in we used to be in a hunter-gatherer state, we'd always have fight and flight situations. So you'd encounter the saber-toothed tiger. That's the favorite one that people always talk about, the saber-toothed tiger. I don't know why. Maybe it was a badass in those days, and this is the one that you did not want to encounter. But anyway, so you're going out hunting and you come across a saber-toothed tiger. Basically, you've got two options. You're going to fight it, okay? And I don't know about you, but I don't fancy fighting a saber-toothed tiger, especially when you've seen the size of the teeth on them things. And then you've got a flight, okay? So basically, you've got the fight and flight response. So for example, the situation happens, the stressful situation. You either fight it, flight it, okay? Then the situation ends. That's it, okay? Everything returns to normal. Cortisol decreases again. And then basically, that's it. You're chilled out. In current times, the way we are now, we basically have workplace stress, which is something that is constant, yeah? So you're getting constant peaks all the time. But as the cortisol response, where it's a fight or flight, and you're stimulating the adrenal glands to release adrenaline, yeah? You're going to get this constant stimulation, okay, of the adrenal glands. You're also not going to have that recovery time because you're actually going to be away from, you can't get away from the situation, okay? So with the saber-toothed tiger, you either fight it, kill it, eat it, or run away, or you're dead, okay? That's the option. So either way, the stressful situation ends, okay? With work-related stress and the stress that we get now with paying our bills and debts and things like that, we can't get away from it. So that constant stress is constant stimulation of cortisol, which basically will end up stimulating the adrenal glands. We'll end up with adrenal fatigue, but you'll also release a lot of adrenaline and you'll start mobilizing your fat stores. Okay, so metabolizing your fat to use for energy. But because you're not using any of the energy that is released, then basically that energy has to go back into the system and always get stored in the abdominal area, okay? So that's how you end up with abdominal fat when you're stressed, okay? So what we want to do is get your sleep right first of all. So that is getting to bed at 10 o'clock at night and getting up around 6, 7 in the morning. Get into this routine regularly. Go through the cleanse protocols that we're going through. You're all pretty clean now. And basically, you will notice your energy levels go through the roof, okay, guys? So very short. There's a lot of information in there, a lot of detail. And if you need any questions or anything, then just post them in the box below and we'll crack on. Okay, guys, awesome. I hope you're still smashing it. Hope you had a clean weekend and I shall see you soon. Bye-bye.